Yo guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a special video. Now, as you guys all know, recently for the past 2 weeks at least, the 5-3-2 formation, the 5-3-2 system is trending. It's pretty much what a lot of people are using. A lot of people, the pros, the people in weekend league, rivals, they are essentially all switching to the 5-3-2 or 5-2-1-2, and it is a pretty, like, there's this misconception that it's a very defensive or ratty formation. The truth is, it's a very attacking formation if you obviously use it with the wing backs on joining the attack, and it's very hard to stop. And I've noticed that I gave it a try. I used it in rivals and FUT champs, and it's a very effective formation, and I would argue that it's probably up there with probably, you know, top 3 formations in game, if not the best formation, as some people would say. But me personally, I just don't like the concept of using 3 centre backs. Any 3 centre back formation, even a 3-5-2, I just don't like it. Not in real life, not in FIFA, not even a Football Manager. I have been using this 4-3-3 system that got me an Elite 1 finish. You know, did very well against very good players, pros, even in qualifiers, and I have enjoyed it. And it's a very, very effective system if you have the right players for it. So I get started. This is the Road to Glory team. I stream. If you're interested in how we got this team, I obviously stream pretty much every day on Twitch, 10 to 11 p.m., 10 or 11 p.m. UK time. But yeah, this is it's Packlock FC basically, right? It's Road to Glory. But let's get into the tactics. So I used the 4-3-3 second variation, the one with a DM, 2 centre mids, and obviously the wingers. The main thing you want to have here, I'll tell you what, I get into the tactics and I'll tell you which players to use in that system. So the defensive style, I use press after possession loss. The main thing you want to have in this system is pressing. You want to be able to press. You want to be able to pressure your opponent. You want to be on the front foot. You don't want to be the guy sitting back and you know, trying to counter that. No, you want to be the guy controlling the game. You want to have control, right? And this is the best. I kid you not. I've used so many different formations in this game: 4-4-2, 4-2-2, 4-1-2 narrow. This is the best pressing formation I have used so far. I have not been able to find any other formation that presses as well as the 4-3-3. The width, I keep it on 5 because of how much your players press. You don't want to have gaps out wide or gaps in the middle. So you want it to be very balanced. Depth 8, pretty much. You know, same as the point I mentioned earlier. You want to have your D line, you know, up the field near your midfielders, so that once your players press, you don't leave too many gaps in between the midfielders and the defense. And you want your defenders to press as well. So 8 depth, it might seem like it's a lot, and you can tweak it yourself, but I prefer it being on 8. As for the offensive style, I have it on balanced. I honestly do not like anything else other than balanced. Like, balance for me is probably the best one. I've tried out, you know, long ball, fast build up. It messes around when you attack an AI too much. I prefer balanced. Width. Now this is important. I have width on 10 because you want your players to, and this is one of the reasons why this formation is a good counter for the 5-3-2, and I'll get to it in a second. You want your players to essentially spread and occupy positions all over the pitch, especially your wingers. You want your wingers to be as far away and as close to the sideline as possible to stretch the opponent's fullbacks or wingbacks, and that gives your strikers and midfielders a lot of space to get into the middle, or gives your wingers space when you overload one side, and I'll get to that in a second. So width, I have it on 10. Players in the box, I have it on 5. Again, I didn't play around with that too much. This is, you don't want to tweak that too much. You can if you want, but personally I have it on 5. Corners and free kicks on 2. Just, you know, so you don't get countered if you play on 4 or whatever. Instructions, this is the most important one. Let's start with the defense, right? The right back, stay back. Center back's obviously on stay back. The left back is on join the attack. This is important. You want your left back to be on join the attack. I'll tell you why in a second. Your DM is on drop between defenders and cover center. This is because obviously you want this DM. He needs to be like, it needs to be like a Kante. I've got Duncan in there. It needs to be someone that's got ideally medium high and someone that's very good defensively, so that they can sit in between the 2 center backs to allow your players to push forward. Left center mid and right center mid, I've got nothing on them. Default settings. You want these 2 players to have good defensive attributes and good going forward. Essentially 2 box-to-box players, right? 2 box-to-box players that have a lot of stamina, because they need to be able to run and press and you know, up the field, back in defense, and so on and so forth. Your right wing player needs to be on cut inside and get into the box. That's it. Cut inside, can't get into the box. Your left winger needs to be on stay forward, cut inside, get into the box, right? And your striker needs to be on stay forward. Now, let me explain to you the pattern, because this isn't just a random system where you just have instructions and tactics and that's it, you wing it. You can if you want, but the way I use it, the way I recommend using it, is to use it and you know, use it and with some sort of patterns. So my main thing that I do in game, and you can see it when I use it, if you come to my Twitch streams, link will be in the description, with TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. You essentially want to overload the left side. Now, give me a second, let me show you exactly what I mean. So if I go, so this is what the formation looks like, obviously. I'm just going to try and give you an idea of what I'm trying to say. So the way you want to play mainly and focus is you want to overload the left side. You want to attack through the left side. Now, obviously, you can always, you know, switch it up and go for the right, but the main pattern of attack is the left. Once you obviously have your left winger, he's on stay forward. You have your 2 box-to-box players. This right winger, because you have your attack on 10 width, he's going to be all the way out wide, right? All the way over here, right? Your striker's over here. Your 2 midfielders over here. Your DM obviously drops between the 2 center backs, so it forms a 3. And your right back is on stay back, so he stays here. But your left back is on join the attack, so he pushes all the way forward right here. So in this position right here, when you start passing around, doing 1-2s and trying to break your opponent down, you're always gonna outnumber your opponent, always, because essentially you have your striker coming in to support, you have your left winger, you have your center mid, right? And you have your left back, and sometimes you have your DM on your other center mid coming in to support. So you always can pass around if you're patient enough, right? And if you know, once you see your opponent obviously putting in more numbers to try and cut your passing lanes and try and pressure you and try and get the ball back in this area right here, what you want to do is you want to switch it over to your right winger, who's almost always in a free position, right? And this sort of pattern, like, it is giving me so much success against any formation, 4-4-2, 5-3-2, you name it, right? Because you can't, like, your opponents, any sort of formation cannot, like, this is why the 5-3-2 essentially is very overpowered at the moment, because usually what you have is a system where a lot of players are essentially pushing their wing backs forward. They have the 2 strikers, and they also have their midfielders supporting. So if you see, look how many players the 5-3-2 can have forward. One stays back, obviously, but you have essentially 6 players pushing forward, sometimes 7, right? And that's the same thing with the 4-3-3. Now, I personally believe that the 4-3-3 is a counter to the 5-3-2 because of the way the 4-3-3 press, you know, the formation presses through the midfield. The 4-3-3 is such a good pressing formation. Once you lose the ball, because you're on press after possession loss, because you're on 8 depth, you have so many players in this area right here that it's hard to pass through and around. Now you need to sort of get used to this. You're not going to be able to, first game, some of you might, but first game you might struggle with some sort of counters or over the top through balls, but once you get used to it, you will dominate games, I guarantee you. And yeah, I mean, I hope this works for you guys. And usually if I was to give you some sort of advice on the players to use, the striker needs to be a good, dynamic player that can hold the ball, that can pass, someone that can bring other players into the attack. Your left winger needs to be another, like, your two main players, in my opinion, should be the striker and left winger, because those are the players that you would attack with. The left winger needs to be, again, quick, dynamic, pretty much can play as a second striker, essentially. Your right winger, same thing, needs to be a quick forward. The meta for players in this game, same thing. Your two midfielders need to be box-to-box midfielders. So Bruno is a perfect sort of player for that position. Think of I've got Team of Kimmich, but if you're trying to get like a lower budget player, someone like De Bruyne, you get the idea. DM needs to be a player that can defend and pass as well. Ideally, you want to be able to pass so you can build up well. Your left back, and mainly your left back, needs to be a very good fullback, right? In my opinion, like, even for me, Mendy, like, he's very good, but I want, like, in the future, I want to improve that and get a better attacking left back, because your left back gets involved in your attack a lot, but you want them to have good stamina. You want all your players here to have high stamina, ideally, because the pressing does take a lot of the stamina away from the play, so you need them to have good stamina. And centre backs need to be quick as well. Your players need to essentially be quick to fit them out. But this 4-3-3, in my opinion, is the best counter to the 5-3-2. Other than using the 5-3-2 itself against the 5-3-2, the 4-3-3 itself, like, I just love this. It's such a good, fun formation to play with. And a lot of times you essentially just like shock your opponent from how much you trap them in their own half. And it's such a good way to play the game, in my opinion. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, and let me know if you want more of this sort of tutorial-ish type video in the future. Also, tune into the Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Links will be in the description. Appreciate you so much. Take care. Love you. Peace.